You ever get that feeling? That nagging question of whether you're actually on the right track financially? Because let's be honest, building wealth isn't usually some big, explosive event. It's slow, it's quiet, and a lot of the time, it's pretty much invisible. So in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on the subtle but super powerful signs that show you are, in fact, quietly getting rich. So let me ask you this. What if the real signs of getting wealthy aren't the fancy car or the designer watch? What if they're the quiet habits, the little mindset shifts that happen behind the scenes? Just think of this as your own personal checklist. As we go through these signs, see how many you can tick off. You might just be a lot further along than you think. All right, first things first, we have to talk about the foundational mindset. Because before you even save your first dollar, the real work starts right up here, in your head. It's all about how you think about your life and, more importantly, your future. Let's dig into how long-term thinking is one of the very first signs you're heading in the right direction. Okay, this first sign is huge. You're a long-term thinker. And Naval Ravikant just nails it here. The best stuff in life, money, relationships, skills, it all comes from compound interest. So if you're the kind of person who can delay gratification, maybe you research a big purchase for a few months, or you wait for a sale, or even better, you realize you don't even need it anymore, that is a massive signal that you're playing the long game. This next sign is so powerful because it signals a real change in who you are. What used to feel like a sacrifice, I'm talking packing your lunch, skipping Friday night drinks, it slowly starts to feel like a preference. You're not thinking about FOMO anymore. You're actively choosing the deep satisfaction of hitting your financial goals, like maxing out that Roth IRA. When those good habits become your default setting, man, you are on autopilot to wealth. And here's another one. You've officially stopped trying to keep up with the Joneses. This little game is one of the most financially destructive things you can do because it means you're not even playing your own game anymore. You're playing theirs. The second you stop comparing your life to your buddy's new truck or your coworker's vacation photos on Instagram, you've already won. The quietly wealthy, they're not watching someone else's highlight reel. They're busy building their own. Okay, so you've got the mindset down, but how does that actually turn into, money? Well, that brings us right to our next section, your daily money habits. This is where the rubber meets the road, where your way of thinking starts to produce some real, tangible results. A massive sign you're getting ahead is that you've mastered the art of living below your means. It sounds so simple, right? But honestly, all wealth building really boils down to this one thing, making the gap between your income and your expenses as big as humanly possible. That's the whole game. And the next few signs, they're all about how to make that gap a whole lot wider. Now, you can grow that gap in two ways, right? You can cut your expenses or you can increase your income. And cutting expenses is great, but check this out. The data shows just how powerful earning more really is. 2/3 of households making over 100 grand a year live within their means. But for those making under 50,000, it's less than 40%. It's not a moral failing, it's just math. Earning more gives you so much more breathing room to widen that crucial gap. And this leads right into the next sign. You earn more, but you don't really want to spend more. It's called avoiding lifestyle creep, and it's a total game changer. Just look at this example. Say you get a $20,000 raise. The average person, they'll just let their spending drift up to meet it. But if you hold the line, keep your lifestyle the same, your savings rate doesn't just go up a little bit, it quadruples. This one single habit is like pouring gasoline on your entire financial fire. Okay, pop quiz time. Just take a guess. What do you think the average monthly car payment is in America right now? Seriously, think of a number. You got one? $767 every single month. If you do not have a car payment, you are automatically right now way ahead of the average person. That's more than $9,000 a year you can save and invest while everyone else is pouring it into something that's losing value every single day. Which brings us perfectly to this idea of depreciation. Look, understanding this concept is a true sign of financial maturity. You get that you're not just spending money on a car, you're spending money on something that is guaranteed 100% to be worth less tomorrow than it is today. And here's what that looks like in the real world. A brand new car can lose about 20% of its value in the first year alone. By year 5, it's lost around 60%. But notice how that curve starts to flatten out? The smart money is right there in that 3 to 5-year-old range. You let somebody else pay for that brutal initial drop. So all these habits we've talked about, thinking long-term, avoiding dumb debt, they all lead us here, to our final section, the confidence of the rich. These are the really subtle signs,
The ones that show you've reached a place of genuine peace and security with your money.
A huge, huge shift happens when you start valuing your time more than you value physical stuff. For most people, wealth is about what you can buy. But for the quietly rich, wealth is about what you don't have to do. It's having a free calendar. It's the power to just say no to things. True wealth isn't a thing, it's the freedom to control your own time.
And you know what comes with that freedom? The realization that you have absolutely nothing to prove. Think about it. The people who talk the most about money, how much they make, what things cost, they're almost never the ones who actually have it. When you're quietly getting rich, you stop talking about it because you just don't need the validation. Your focus isn't on your income anymore, it's on your net worth, which is the real scoreboard.
And this brings us to the ultimate sign of financial confidence. You don't panic when the market drops. You live by this simple but incredibly powerful mantra: when in doubt, zoom out. When all the headlines are screaming and everyone else is panicking, the quietly wealthy person just sees a sale. They see an opportunity. And this chart is exactly why they're so calm. History shows us time and time again that despite terrifying crashes and those totally unexpected black swan events, the market always trends up in the long run. This isn't wishful thinking. It's just driven by basic things like innovation and economic growth. Having the guts to stay the course or even buy more when things look scary, that is the ultimate sign you're playing the long game. So after all that, how do you keep track of your progress? Well, think of all these signs we've covered, not as some finish line you have to cross, but more like a personal scorecard. It's just a way to check in and make sure your mindset and your habits are still pointing you toward that long-term success. So if you forget everything else, just remember these 3 things. 1, wealth starts in your head, not in your bank account. 2, those small, boring daily habits are what creates that massive financial gap over time. And 3, the real prize here isn't just a pile of money, it's the confidence and the freedom that come with it. So I'll leave you with one last question to think about. Looking back at all these signs, from playing the long game to valuing your time, which one of them hit home for you? Which one really resonated with where you are right now? Because just thinking about that, well, that's the first step to making the next one happen.